Burglars look for valuables that are in plain view, and if your doors are locked, they'll do whatever it takes to get what's inside. Milky, gooey substance. The lifeguards are asking anybody that gets really close to this to kind of step back. And of course, you can see you can't even get into the water.
Take a look around here. I'm in the brew house here at what will be the Pensacola Bay Brewery. These big things are where they add the grain in.
Imagine going to a place like Vietnam and giving your flesh and blood for your country, only to have your country question whether or not you actually did.
Some BP crews far just west along the pier here huddled around something in the sand.
Well, Liz, we're seeing a heartbreaking amount of oil on shore. You can take a look right here behind me. You can see what looks to be 3 to 4 feet of oil and stretched out right there.
This thermometer says it's about 95 degrees out here, and people are doing all they can to stay cool.
This is what's floating just 9 miles south of the Florida shore.
It's commonly been referred to as peanut butter, and I've also heard it described as axle grease.
They're large, floating clumps of tar balls, broken down by weeks of wind, waves, and chemical dispersants, and it's closing in on Florida and Alabama's coast.
It's amazing to think that this has come from 5,000 feet below the surface and then traveled over 200 miles along the water surface to our Florida waters. It's really a shame.
In our wake, a reminder of what's at risk from the tar contaminating the water.
This could really reshape our fisheries, both commercial and recreational.
Captains already out of work are turning their ships into oil collectors. The orange bucket on deck is called a clamshell. It scoops the thickest oil out from under the surface.
We're heading north toward the shore of Perdido Key from where we first spotted those huge, larger clumps of tar. And for the past few miles, we've been driving through an oil sheen and more broken up, smaller bits of tar, exactly like what we've seen washing up on shore.
Fine grass. Oh no, there's a lot of oil in it.
It stretches at least a half mile, the thickest sheen of oil we've seen yet, trapped in seagrass, just 2 miles from Florida and Alabama beaches.
Any more grass on that side?
On this shrimp boat, workers scoop it from the Gulf and into trash bags on board.
Reporting near Pensacola, Liz Nagy, Channel 3 News.
Marine First Lieutenant George Cummings is about to make his first ever landing on a U.S. Navy ship.
Very exciting. It's the first chance to do something very practical like that. You're thinking about closure rate and descent rate. You're working with your pilot command to try to get it into a safe landing.
What makes this different from setting down on land is that the boat is moving.
There is some excitement that is definitely coursing through my veins.
This custom-built boat was constructed after NAS Pensacola lost its aircraft carrier in the mid-1980s. Ever since, the boat's been an essential tool in training helicopter pilots from all branches of the military, along with pilots from federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. Since this boat went into service back in 1986, there have been more than 100,000 landings and takeoffs, all without serious accident or injury.
The U.S. Navy's safety standards are very high. We take care of our own, and we train well before we do any mission. A lot of training goes on, a lot of preparation, so that when we actually go do a mission, it's the same as if we had practiced it.
After setting down on the deck, the student pilot gets a few words from an instructor, then waits for clearance to take off again.
It's quite exciting sliding to the left there at a nice speed and just transitioning to forward flight with the water right in front of you. Never experienced anything like it. Just a lot of fun.
Several generations of military helicopter pilots have gained valuable experience on this boat.
Definitely exceeded it. There's no way, I had no previous experience with it, and it's just the sky's the limit from there.
When Cash for Clunkers was unveiled, the cars were going to be immediately crushed and compacted. The National Car Automotive Recyclers lobbied to change that plan.
We realized real quickly that the lawmakers did not realize the ramifications of just saying dispose of this vehicle.
The program was altered. Designated certified salvage yards like Butler's collect the cars, destroy the engines, and detox the vehicles. They recycle chemicals like antifreeze and Freon, remove the battery and fluids. Then they add a fluid, sodium silicate, or liquid glass to the engine. Now, if you're a car lover, this part will be hard to watch. 21 seconds later, it's over.
And that's the end of that one.
By law, a participating car dealer representative must witness the engine's destruction. Jackie Gray works for Sandy Sansing.
There's a lot of work on the back end of this. The titles have to be applied for destroyed and salvaged title. I have to get the titles over to Butler. All the cars have to actually be destroyed, and then we have to receive payment from the government. And you have to do all those pieces to receive your payment.
Mark Butler and his crew have 180 days to depart the car.
After seizing the motor, which is the pollutant, we are allowed to sell any part off of that car.
After that, the car's shells will be shredded and reprocessed again into new vehicles and new appliances, the next round in the stimulus plan. Catherine Daniel, Channel 3 News.
During our time here in Iraq, we've become all too familiar with the military lifestyle of hurry up and then wait. So we decided to find out what life was like for the Marine maintainers who make sure these planes are good to go, find out what they do once these aircraft get in the sky. Private First Class Dominique Franklin is from Mobile, Alabama, and he's proud to be a Marine.
I'm giving back to my country, and I'm doing something good with my life right now, and it's leading me in a better place.
Dominique and the rest of his crew have the important job of making sure these F-18s are ready to fly at a moment's notice. Once the fighter takes off, you might think the crew's job was done, but actually, it's only just begun.
We're pretty much getting all the other jets flyable, just in case if we have another jet that can't fly at the time, because you never know what could go wrong with an aircraft. We'll switch out and another jet will take off. So you gotta have all jets up at all times.
For 12 hours a day, for at least 6 days a week, these crews are making sure these aircraft can handle whatever challenges are out there. There's precious little downtime, which means a game of horseshoes is more like group therapy, where everyone can unwind and share a few laughs. For some Marines, the best stress relief comes from a call back home.
My worries back home get put to a side because I get to talk to the wife and I don't have to worry no more. And then I can just focus completely what's out here.
But as helpful as those calls are, there's one thing on everyone's mind as they work day in and day out.
I always miss the Gulf Coast. I can't wait to get back home to my family.
Reporting from Al-Asad, Iraq, Bill Pearson, Channel 3 News. Santa Rosa County road crews arrived here at the Jernigan Bridge on Gordon Lane Road around noon Thursday. Supervisor Jack Walther says what they found was a mountain of debris in the water.
Yeah, you could step off of the bridge onto the debris when we first got here. And it run up creek about 60 foot. It restricts the water flow tremendously, but that's why you have to try to get here as soon as you can to remove it, to keep the water flowing, keep more debris from hanging up.
It's a pretty involved process.
They just pulling the stuff he can out, and we're taking the front end loader, moving it off the bridge, sawing it up where we can haul it off.
Closer to Milton, Lamar Morris is still keeping an eye on the Blackwater River. He lives near the flooded waterway, and from previous floods, he believes dry land will return very soon.
I expect it to clear out. It will.
Fully?
Fully, yeah, sure will.
Are you going to be glad when that happens?
Oh, yes.
Why?
Because then all the people can get back started to work.
Road crews know this work will seem like a never-ending process, but it's work that must be done to keep traffic moving on the road and in the river.
We've always done it after it comes a flood. It's an ongoing process, never ends.
The crews that have been working this site Thursday know it'll take a few more days before the debris piles up and becomes a problem yet again. But once it does, they'll be ready to get back to work. Reporting from Santa Rosa County, Bill Pearson, Channel 3 News.